Adverb of placement. When we talk about adverb of placement in past perfect, like the adverb of placement, we place the adverbs between the auxiliary verb had and the main verb, where is the participle. So we place then between, right? So like example, always, only, never, ever, still, just, etc. These are adverb of placement. So adverb of placement is just trying to tell us where we place the adverb in the past perfect tense. So like example here, you had previously studied English before you moved to New York. So you gotta see previous here is between the auxiliary verb had with the main verb study. And the main verb there is what? The the participle. So so this is just for you to try to know the position of the adverb in the past perfect tense. Alright? Had you previously studied English before you moved to New York? The helping verb comes after the subject because it's the question form. So that's why we say adverb of placement. So in the question form, so it's within the subject and the main verb. And the subject there is you. That is the question form. Alright? Okay, let's go. So that is the adverb of placement. Just for you to know the placement, where we place it, in the positive sentences, the negative sentences, and the question forms. Just for you to know. So when we're talking about adverbs, when we are talking about adverbs, we have a lot of singular words. Already, still, yet, just, ever, never. These are singular words. These are singular words we use in past perfect. When we talk about perfect, all perfect we use singular words. And these singular words are adverbs. And these singular words, some of these singular words are negative, some of them they are positive, some of them they are in the question form. Like already is in the positive form, still is in the positive form, but yet is in the negative form, just is in the positive form, ever is in the question form, that is the interrogative form. Never is in the negative. It's so negative. It's so negative. Never. It's so negative. So, like example here, how we use it in a sentence like before we move, comma, we had already sold the house. So you gotta see a comment there. We had already sold the house. So already there is the adverb. And this sentence is in a positive form. So already we use it in a positive form. So you gotta see the placement. So the placement is between the auxiliary verb had and the main verb sold. And sold is the past participle. Alright? It takes the same placement. The only difference here, this sentence is in the positive form. Already is always in a positive form. All right. When she arrived home, comma, she hadn't had the news yet. So there is the what? The negative form. So we use the yet in the negative form in the negative sentence. She hadn't had the news yet. All right. But the placement here is different. You see where we place it. Yet is always placed at the end of the sentence. That's a different placement with the already and with the other singular words. At that time I joined the company, I had been a salesperson for 5 years. So I had been a salesperson for 5 years. So you had the singular word here is for 5 years. This is just a short period of time when we're using for, in past perfect. Just a period of time. Okay. He had lived in London since 2022. So when we talk about since, there's something like specific. It's specific. It's a long time. So he had lived in London since 2002. So there's a long period of time. And he's still there. So when you're using for and since, so the difference between for and since, you gotta know that different, guys. So these are just adverbs. These are singular words we use in past perfect tense, guys. Okay. All right, guys. Let's go. Before they visit the UK, they had never seen snow. So never there, it indicates negative. But the sentence is not in a negative, but it indicates negative. Before they visit the UK, they have never seen snow. So they have never seen snow. So it's negative. So never is negative sentence. We use that in a negative sentence. So you have never seen snow. Alright? Okay, let's go. We had just had lunch before you arrived. So just is between the auxiliary verb had and the main verb had. So the placement is the same. Nothing different about the placement, the position of this singular word, this adverb here. But this is a positive sentence. We have just had lunch before you arrive. Something that just happened just a few minutes ago. Alright. Have you ever visited South Africa? So this is the question form. So ever, we use ever mostly in the question forms. But here you gotta see the placement here is different from just, because this is the question form. So here the auxiliary verb had come before the subject you. So ever here is between the subject and the main verb visited. So have you ever visited South Africa? Have you ever visited South Africa? So these singular words you gotta take care of. You just gotta know the position of the singular words, and also try to know the positive, the negative, the negative, the interrogative form of all the singular words that you can use in past perfect tense. We also use it in all the perfect, all the singular words, these adverbs, All right, so that's why the first thing we talk about the placement first. Then we'll try to talk about the positive, negatives, and the interrogative form, the different type of sentences, how you can use all the singular words. It's so important, guys. Before travel to China, have you ever visited South Africa before travel to China? So there is the question form. So use ever in the question forms. That is the interrogative form. Okay. Number 10, past perfect. After, before. So when you use past perfect after before, so like examples like they left before, so the past perfect gonna come in. Spoken to them, that is the past perfect. So I spoke to them. I spoke to them. I'll is the contraction for I had. So in the shortening form we'll say I comes after before. Alright, let's go. Sadly, the author died before. So sadly the author died before. So now the past perfect become after the before. So, he'd finish the series. He'd finish the series. Sadly, the author died before he'll finish the series. So he'd, it means he had finished the series. That is the contraction for he had is he'd. Alright? Okay. Let's time up to a point in the past. When we're talking about time up, there is a finishing time to a point in the past. So this is something that have finished. It's an action that have finished. So like example here. Let's go. She has published our first poem. So there is a time up. There is a time in the past, and this time had finished. So she has published her first poem, and this is the main clause. All right. So let's go to the subordinate clause. So the subordinate clause is the point in the past. So the point in the past is what? By the time she was 8. So by the time she was 8, this is the point in the past. So that's what we say, time up to a point in the past. So we gotta see here the main clause is she has published her first poem. By the time she was 8, that is the subordinate clause. And that is the point in the past. So the time up is the past perfect tense. Alright? Okay guys, let's go. We finish all the water. So we finish all the water. It's time up. Just like a game, when someone says, hey, it's time up. It's over. It's finished. So we'd finish all the water. So this is the main clause. So now let's go to the subordinate clause. Before we were half up the mountain. So this is the subordinate clause. And this is the point in the past. Alright? Okay guys, so let's go to the next one. So this is a question form. So the question form gonna be, had the parcel arrived? Had the parcel arrived? Time up. Main clause. When you call yesterday. So this is a time clause, but it's a subordinate clause because it's introduced by the word when. So when you call yesterday. So this is the point in the past. Alright guys, okay? Alright guys, let's go. So the question gonna be, had the parcel arrived when you called yesterday? Alright guys, let's go man. Okay. Alright guys, let's talk about number 12. Number 12 is talking about duration before something in the past. So duration before something in the past. So let's see duration before something in the past. So like example here. So here we don't use non-continuous verb. When you talk about non-continuous verb, these are non-action verbs. They don't express action. These are stative verbs. You know what I mean? We also have dynamic verbs. Alright guys, let's go. We had that car for 10 years. So this is a duration before something in the past. So we had heard that car for 10 years before it broke down. So before it broke down, that is the subordinate clause. So the main clause there is what? We had heard that car for 10 years. And we had heard that car for 10 years. That is the duration. So before something in the past is what? Before it broke down. Alright? Okay guys, let's go. So here you gotta see here, by the time Alex finished his studies, so here you gotta see the subordinate clause is after the main clause. So that's why we use the comma, because the subordinate clause is after the main clause. And the subordinate clause here is what? By the time Alex finished his study. So this is the subordinate clause. Alright, so for the main clause, he had been in London for over 8 years. So this is the main clause that introduces the past perfect tense. So by the time Alex finished his study, so that is the past simple, so that is the subordinate clause. But the subordinate clause come before the main clause, so we gotta use a comma there. So you get a way of that, okay? Know the difference between the main clause and the subordinate clause, alright? Okay, guys, let's go. Man, we are still on past perfect. You know what I mean? Okay, guys, let's go. They felt bad about selling the house. So they felt bad about selling the house. Alright, so this is a subordinate clause. So this is a past simple. Alright, so now let's go to past perfect tense. Because they had owned it for more than 4 years. So because they had owned it for more than 4 years. So that's what we say, duration before something in the past. You know what I mean? So they felt bad about selling the house because they had owned it for more than 40 years. So because they had owned it for more than 40 years, that is the duration. So before something in the past, that is the subordinate clause. So the subordinate clause that say they felt bad about selling the house. All right, guys, let's go.